MP Kelly, I'll start off the top.
Thank you, and thank you, Governor, for clarifying for everyone that if the carbon tax is removed from things like fuel, the price of these items will in fact go down. So that was, I think, helpful to have on the record. And would that go for everything, all other sort of products that are tied to this? So if a truck that transports food no longer has the tax applied to it, then we are easing the input cost on food, for example.
I don't have an estimate of the secondary effects, but the direct effects on overall inflation are relatively modest. The secondary effects are going to be even more modest. So, you know, they're I'm not saying there aren't some products where that could be important, but if you look, I mean, what we're looking at is CPI inflation, everything in the basket. And when you look at it that way, the secondary effects are going to be de minimis.
Back to at the very end of your response to Mr. Morantz's last question, you were beginning to talk about timelines for project approvals and the impact that has on productivity, the drag on productivity. So I'd like you to maybe complete your answer, if you'd like to, and talk about how regulatory timelines create delay, which creates a drag on productivity, which is where we get this declining per capita GDP that we have in Canada.
So, look, we have well-intentioned regulations at different levels, federal, provincial, municipal in this country. These are well-intentioned regulations. They want to make sure that these investments are in the best interests. The difficulty is at times we have overlapping, sometimes even conflicting regulatory approval processes. They're tough for investors, people who want to build, to navigate, and there can be considerable uncertainty in how long it's going to take. So,
if I may,
so what that does, it scares investors off.
Indeed. So delays on that capital will go somewhere else. For example, United States. Yeah, and the gap in investment, the investment deficit with the United States, the difference between American investment in Canada and Canadian investment in the United States is now. Do you have a
I don't have the number in front of me, but
okay.
There's no question that too many companies, so foreign capital, even some Canadian capital, is going to the United States because they can get faster regulatory approvals.
Right, and we've heard at this committee that difference is almost $500 billion. That sound about right and roughly.
Yeah, I don't
correct.
have a number, but it's a big number.
Okay, so can you tell us about? Would you care to name some of the specific regulatory obstacles to investment?
No, I'm not going to get into sort of specific line by line issues. I think that the message is we need to look at this from a whole of country point of view, and these are well intentioned, but I think where we can streamline the process, provide more certainty, that's going to encourage investment. The productivity problem, it's a long-standing problem. It's going to take. This is something, along with getting rid of interprovincial trade barriers. These are some things that we know what the problem. We know there's a problem. We know what it is. It's going to take some concerted effort to cut through it. But it's something we could do that, if we can do it, could have pretty good return in the short run.
So, is it wise then to increase capital gains taxes when you are in an acknowledged productivity crisis and an investment crisis where investment is going to other peer countries and not into Canada? Is that a wise time to raise a tax on
I
investment?
think I've said everything I'm going to say on that question.
Okay, I'll take that as no, that it is not a good time to raise a tax. But I don't know if I have any time left for another question.
10 seconds.
If then any C69, is that a good one as far as barriers to investment then?
I'm not going to comment on specific legislation.
Thank you, MP Kelly.